Hey, stop it. Stop scrolling in your feed. Stop right here. Stop. What's up, y'all? It's Chris. We're back with another episode of BizBuzz Live. I'm just being silly. We're live here on LinkedIn, live here on YouTube, and we're diving into the number one searched job trend or number one searched job experience on Google. We're going to dive into that today. We're talking about career minimalism and what that is and how this is impacting your life. So stick around for today's BizBuzz Live. All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of BizBuzz Live. I'm your host, Chris Muzan, helping you through your financial strategist, helping you through all things finance. So glad we can be back here on another Friday. It's Friday, December the 12th. We get an opportunity to do this every single Friday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, 7:30 Pacific, to dive in and have this conversation. I say this all the time, and I continue to start this show off by letting you know the origins of this, where this came from, what we're talking about, why we're live here on LinkedIn and YouTube, and you listening and diving in to this conversation. As a financial professional, financial strategist, financial coach, somebody that's helped people through their financial journey for over a decade, right? Going on 13 years now. Whether people come to me for their insurance protection or whether it's to get out of debt or save more money or look at their retirement or put in an estate plan, whatever it is that people are coming to me to have a conversation about, inevitably the conversation comes back to cash flow. Inevitably, it comes back to how much is coming in and how much is going out. Where is it coming in and where is it flowing out? Now, again, our industry has done an amazing job of figuring out where it flows out, right? All the places that it's able to flow out. We have budgeting software. We have all types of tools and tricks and all types of things to be able to make sure people can figure out where their money's going. Here's where I think we've dropped the ball as an industry, is figuring out how to bring in more money, right? Figuring out a way to bring in more income. How does it come in? Whether we are talking about the proverbial, right, climbing the corporate ladder, which we're going to touch on a little bit today, whether we're thinking about starting a business, whether we're in the gig economy, whether we're choosing to do 2 or 3 part-time jobs to make ends meet, whatever, however we are figuring this out, one of the main parts, the main um, drivers in our financial success is our ability to earn money. And so, because we want to earn more money, we need to understand how to go about doing that. So, that's what the show is for. So, we can talk about what's happening in careers, what's happening in industries, where are the places to earn money, where should we stay away from, how do we look at earning money, all of these conversations around the top end of cash flow, which is how does money come into our lives? And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be having a conversation around some of the ways that people are making money, or the ways that people are thinking about making money. Minimalism. Cool. Had to get that had to get that spelling right so I can show you. We're going to be talking about career minimalism today. Career minimalism. And what is this? Where did this term come from? It's popped up recently. Share a quick video with you so we can get some context on it. And then we can dive in, right? We can start to have this conversation around this term, career minimalism. All right, so let's take a listen.
Minimalism. It was the number one search topic on Google last week. So, what is it? And is it something that you should consider? Career minimalism is this idea that you get a job that meets your financial minimums. It's just a good, steady job. Doesn't matter what that job is, because you're just going to clock in and clock out of it. And then outside of that job, you are pursuing things that bring you joy. You're doing your hobbies, your side hustles, stuff like that. Career minimalism does not mean working less. It just means not putting your whole self into any particular job. And it's very different than the work style that all generations prior to Gen Z subscribe to. Like for millennials and older, the idea was you go to college, you get a good job, and then you work your way up through that job. Ideally, you could stay at that job for decades. And you would slowly see an increase in your responsibilities and in your comfort and in your salary. But Gen Z knows that ain't the way it works anymore. Okay. So there's no reason for me to like burn out at this place when inevitably they'll allow me to apply for a better job, but they'll end up hiring somebody from the outside at a bigger salary. The best way to advance in your career over the last 10, 15 years has been to hop around to different businesses. In addition to searching career minimalism, folks are also searching trade schools, because this idea has come forth that you go to your clock in, clock out job, then you go to night school or trade school so that you can eventually leave and start your own business in one of the trades, which we so desperately need people to be working in. Google searches for electrician apprenticeship is up 130% in just the last month. How to become a graphic designer is up 200% in the last month. But the number one search term related to jobs, which this is a very popular time for people to start thinking about getting a new job, was work from home job, no experience. 250% increase over the last month in searches for that. And the jobs most people want right now are dental hygienist, school psychologist, electrician, hardware engineer, and athletic trainer. Those are jobs that people are seeking certifications for or apprenticeships for while clocking into their 9-to-5 job that provides them the basic financial security. And folks are setting a good mentality for themselves by doing.
All right. So listen, we heard it. You heard it here first. You heard it here first. You probably didn't hear it here first, but you heard it here. Let's start career minimalism. It's this notion, this idea that I'm going to just have a job that takes care of the minimal part of my bills, that I'm not throwing all of my time, energy, identity, career experience all into this one job. I'm doing this so that it pays the bills, and then I'm going to go off and do the things that I want to do. Now, we got to find this. Ash, we got to find this, because I know I've been saying this for years. For years. I'm not exaggerating, y'all. Like, I've had this advice for people, this guidance for people for years. Recently on a BizBuzz, I said it this way. I said there's only 2 reasons to have a job. Again, we grow up with a different indoctrination. All of the, like she said on there, all of the generations before us really thought this way, right? Really thought against this. So that's why it's such a shift. But 2 reasons to have a job. 1, it pays your bills. Like, that's the reason to have it. There's nothing about climbing the corporate ladder, having this be your career, moving all the way up to get to the top of something where, right? Like that's never been, or that has been, but now not the thing, right? So to have a job is really just about paying your bills. Or 2, it's creating a skill set in you that you know that you will need to go off and build the thing you want down the line. If you've never been in sales, maybe getting a sales job teaches you selling, so you know one day when you have to sell in your business, you can do it. Maybe you get a marketing job, maybe you get an HR job, maybe you're in public relations, maybe you're a manager or a secretary of a certain industry, because it's giving you a skill set that then you can go off and use later down the line, maybe not at a job, but for yourself. 2 main reasons to have a job, right? That is in one context that I've had this conversation over the past years. Over the past years also, I've given this exact same talk, this exact same concept for, get it, people that are looking to leave their jobs and become an entrepreneur. One of the things I always talk about is the entrepreneur mindset versus the employee mindset. I probably got to go find this. I think it's probably somewhere on a TikTok or on a draft or something like that. But I've always said, for people, I've helped people move from their job into an entrepreneurial business, into something that gives them more time to work on their business. Then one of the top objections that I've always gotten, that's a struggle for most people, is, but my job takes up all of this time, so I don't have any time to start anything else. I don't have any time to do anything else because all of my time, energy, attention flows into my job. That's probably one of the top two, top three objections that you get when you try to help people kind of come over to the other side. And here's what I've always explained to them. I've asked the question normally, right? Do you love your job? And normally that answer is no. That's why they're looking to get out, right? They're looking to become an entrepreneur. It's what they know. It's what they've been doing. It's exactly how they've operated. It's what they know. It doesn't mean that they love it. It doesn't mean that they're great at it. It just means it's what they know and it's what pays the bills. But normally they've fallen into the trap of climbing the proverbial corporate ladder, moving up in their career, getting the bonus, getting the raise, making their boss look like they're playing that game. And so a lot of times when I'm sitting down with people and we're having this conversation about how do we transition, their job is what's holding them back. And so if this is you, right, because this is the same exact advice and guidance I've given to everyone. If this is you, you already know you want to get out of your job. You already know you want to leave. Then the first thing you have to do is you have to find out what is your bare minimum, right? To just pay your bills and to just have a little bit left over, just a little bit, not the lifestyle you're used to living, because that's what keeps people at their job. If you're trying to get out of it, you have to go back to the drawing board and say, well, what do I need versus kind of what is this that I just want, that I play around with, that I like, and all that type of stuff. But what do I actually need? Okay, so we figure out what's the minimal amount. What's our bottom line? How much, do we need just to live our lives? Once we have that number, then you can go about finding another job that just takes care of that. Career minimalism, right? You go about, it might not be the job you have a degree in. It more than likely won't be. It's not going to be the place you have a degree. It's not going to be the place that you can see yourself advancing, or it's a prestigious company. It might be the local grocery store. It might be a retail store. We're going to talk about this moving forward, right, over the next couple of weeks. But it might be a place in retail. It might be a local small business owner that needs you to just do some paperwork type things or whatever. But does it pay your bill, the minimal part of your living? If so, and it removes all of the stress, because most times when people are leaving their job, it's not the actual work of the job that's stressing them out. It's all the other things that come with it. Their supervisors, the staff, the expectation that's put on them, the expectation to do good, right? The responsibilities, the extra hour, their ego, their reputation in the company, their relationship with their boss, the gossip that happens around, the negativity. It's the other things that take up our energy at a job. It's the other things. It's not like the actual job. If you could just go in, show up, and then leave, life gets better. Hence the career minimalism. Because this is what people are starting to understand. What if I just had a place that, like, I did my job, I wasn't lazy? This career minimalism does not equal laziness. It doesn't mean you're lazy. It means you show up, you do your job well, you do what's expected of you well, right? But you can have the emotional detachment. You can set boundaries. You can redirect that energy. People give energy to these things at their job that is really what burns them out, is what stresses them out. Again, it's not the work of the job, it's all the things that come with it. And so if we can remove that side, then we can put our energy into building a business. This is how I used to help people. I still do, right? But this is the conversation I've had with people. If the job is the reason that you can't start a business, if the job is the reason you can't pursue your goals and dreams and the things you want to do, then we have to get rid of the job. But back to the foundation, the reason to have a job is either A, it's actually just providing for your bills and your living, or B, you're learning something there that's going to help you in your future endeavors. If your job currently is not doing that and it's just stressing you out and it's just getting you to a place where you're like, I don't, right? It's all the other things, then we got to go find the work that can allow you to emotionally detach, so that then we can put that energy into building our goals and dreams. I would always tell people, and this is something I'll tell all of you, if this is a situation you're in, it takes energy to go after your goals and dreams. It takes energy to build a business. It takes energy to do anything outside of what you're currently doing in your current lifestyle. It takes energy. So if you're giving all of your energy to a job, to a place that's not giving you back the energy, well, then we have to change something. We have to switch that. And we have to now move our energy into something that's more fulfilling to us. We're watching this happen over and over again, but now this is a bigger conversation because Gen Z, this next generation, is starting to see like, yeah, the way that they pitched us this work thing isn't making sense. They pitched us this work thing like, hey, we're supposed to have loyalty at a company and climb the corporate ladder and retire with security at that company. That's not what we're seeing. That's how millennials and older generations, that's what we believed in until we had to wake up a bit. And now we're seeing, right, companies promote people outside of their current employees all the time. There's no loyalty. They look for the best candidate. They'll bring them in. They'll hire them from within. It doesn't really matter. Gen Z is also learning that layoffs happen all the time. Layoffs are happening left and right. There's no, again, loyalty to any of these things. Wages are staying exactly where they're at. They've been taught, Gen Z's been taught how to job hop and bounce around to find their job. So now they've learned something that previous generations possibly didn't learn. And that's what's gotten us to this career minimalism, which again is you just going out and finding the job that you can emotionally detach from. Just go in and do your work and it pays your bills. I've told people this for years. Like, if you don't like your job, it's fine. But now we have to redesign, rethink about how we think about work. If we have something that we can go build, not that you have no idea of what to build, there's active things you can go build. And if you just spent more time and energy there, it would make you more money. Then we need to remove ourselves from the job that we have, the way we were thinking about it, the climbing the corporate ladder, the promoting, the getting to a position in that company where things are fine, where we're making the salary that we want to make. We can't think about it that way. We need to go work at the gas station. I know you might have to humble yourself. You have a degree. No one would ever, right, want you to or believe that you would ever go work in a gas station, but they don't know your goals. They don't know your dreams. They don't know what you're headed after. Maybe you need to go work at the grocery store. Maybe you need to go work in the retail space. Maybe you need to go work in the restaurant. Maybe you do need to go work for the small business owner. Maybe you need to be an assistant. Maybe you need to learn how to do some virtual work. Maybe you do need to go be a janitor. Maybe, right? Like, there's so many places where you can detach yourself from the emotional side of your job and just do the work. It doesn't take a lot of cognitive load. This is how I used to explain it to our, clients, is you need to find a job that does not take a lot of cognitive load from you. It does not take you thinking about it and right, pondering it and trying to problem solve and do all the things. They pay you just to do your job and go home. That's what they pay you for. Sure, does every employer want someone that goes above and beyond? Absolutely. But if you're the person that you want to move into your energy going to places that are going to benefit you, your energy moving into your health life, your energy moving into a small business owner or entrepreneurship role, your energy going more into your family, your energy going more into learning who you are and getting a hobby. If that is where you know you need your energy, then this career minimalism strategy would work for you. Again, I've been sharing this with people for years, and it's hard for most people to do it because of how they think about work, how we've been conditioned to think about work. We've been conditioned to think about it like you're supposed to get with a good company, good job, good benefits, stay there, climb the corporate ladder, get your tenure, put your time in, get your pension, get put your retirement there, have safety and security. Like it's just programming. So now all of a sudden we're getting articles that are showing that there's a rise in career minimalism, that there's a rise in people starting to think about the fact that maybe I don't want to put my identity in my job. Maybe right who I am is not just what I do for work. Right? Maybe we're getting to a place where we're figuring out just because I say I'm a nurse doesn't mean like I identify as like, well, I'm a nurse or I'm a doctor or I'm a teacher. Every part of your being goes into what you do for work. What if you have more do you want to give to the world? What if you want to have a bigger impact? What if on your tombstone it's not just about I was a blank? Like this is what I did for income. What if it had more to it? Well, this is the idea that is behind career minimalism. The idea that's behind this is saying, okay, well, there's probably other things I want to go off and do. Right. And so this is one way to think about it. Like I said, I've been sharing this with people for years that want to transition out of their job and transition into entrepreneurship. They want to transition into creating something for themselves where they have to remove some of the energy that they're giving to their job. They have to remove some of the energy. Doesn't mean you're being lazy. Doesn't mean that you're not good at what you do, but the energy you start giving to it needs to be redeployed into a different area. You need to put energy into something different if you want to get there. Now, you also heard that the new career playbook that people are searching, that they're looking up, are things like electrician apprenticeships, the trades. We've been talking a lot about the trades. People keep talking about it. It's going to make the next group of millionaires because we so desperately need it. Feel free, drop comments on what you're thinking about some of this stuff, about career minimalism and about getting into the trades, or right, again, Google searches of how to be a graphic designer or how to get a work from home role with no experience, right? You heard that also. These are things that people are searching for. Are these things that you're searching for? Are you searching for a new role that you can do from home, but you don't need any experience for it? Well, what does that look like? Well, maybe you do need some experience in some areas, right? Maybe you do need to upgrade your skill set in some areas. Maybe you do need to learn some things. You don't have to go back to school to do it. We've had a couple conversations around AI. You might want to use one of these large language models to learn a little bit more about you or what you could do. It's a great cheat code. But these are the things that are happening, and we have to readapt. We have to learn how to earn. We got to learn how to earn. Career minimalism is a way you're going to start seeing Gen Zs go. Listen, I think this is exciting. As somebody that that's starting businesses and doing I want some people that just come in and do their job, and I heard Gary Vee say we're back to a 4-day work week where Thursday nights become popular, just like Friday nights were very popular. People can make their living, make their money just to pay their bills and do all the things. Maybe cost of living has to come down a bit. Maybe wages have to go up a bit. Not sure what needs to happen on the economy side of things. Maybe both. But what would it be like if everyone just was not as emotionally attached to their job, not emotionally invested, unless you wanted to be, unless that was just what you love to do, is be emotionally invested. But if you're not, if it's draining you, if your coworkers and the gossip and the work politics are draining you, if you have to work extra hours because you're salaried and you're feeling pressure from your higher ups and feeling pressure from people on the side of you, your coworkers, if that becomes your life, when does it stop? When do you change it? This is a way to change it. This is an option. This is an option. Career minimalism is an option. Go to the place where you can just cognitively not have a heavy load. Pause. Right? You can cognitively not have to think about a ton of things. You can emotionally detach. If you're just throwing boxes or driving the thing, right, you can emotionally detach a bit, and then you can shift that energy. That's what it's about. It's about shifting the energy to something that will benefit you, that will benefit your future. Maybe you do want to get into a trades business. Maybe you want to build in the financial services space like I chose to do. Maybe you want to get into real estate. Maybe you have your own business idea, but you keep blaming your job taking all of your time and energy. Well, then career minimalism might be for you. Rethinking how you think about earning money. I know you have a degree. I know you've put a lot of time into the field that you're in. I know it's paying you well. I know you have the golden handcuffs. I know all those things. And if nothing changes, nothing changes. So if you want to make a change, for once in my life, Michael Jackson, right? I'm going to make a change. It's going to feel real good. Going to make a difference. Going to make it right. Anyway, um, if that's you want to make a change, you want to change your financial, change your job situation, this is another conversation that you should be having. I'm bringing this to you because I saw it trending a bit, but this is not trending. Like, this has been the thought, right? Like, this is how you do it. This is how I did it. This is how I did it. Now, the way I said it for me was I didn't have to switch jobs. I just went from 100% mental, emotional energy down to 70% mental, emotional energy. Still showed up, still was on time, still did my job, still was a go to manager, still fulfilled all my duties. But that extra 30% mental energy where I cared about something that didn't have anything to do with how I was being paid, that didn't contribute to my work environment or anything, just the extra stuff. You guys know the extra stuff at your job that you start taking on. I I removed that and I gave that 30% to starting a business here in the financial services space, part-time. Put that 30% energy over there. Eventually that 30% energy gave me a return back that would overtake the 70% energy I was giving to my full-time job. So therefore I could give 100% energy into my goals and dreams and the places I wanted to take my family. All right. And so that's what it requires. It's an energy shift. For some, you might have to leave your job completely and go find the job that just pays your bills. Now, this assumes that you know what your bills are, right? That's what that assumes. It assumes that you know what it's like to just minimally live. This is where what I do for clients, the coaching, the financial tracking, that side of things helps you get an awareness around that. Okay, at least I know this is what my bills are. If I had to cut down my food and cut down my spending and okay, this is about as low as I can go. You don't know how low you can go if you've been at a job and you haven't done that process. But the way you're living right now, you can trim a lot of the fat off. And that's how you go find the position, the job that just pays the bills. You know exactly how many hours you need to work. You don't have to do more or less. You show up, you're kind, you do your job to the best of your ability. Does not mean that you're being lazy. You work hard while you're in the building. And then when it's time to clock out, it's time to clock out. When it's time to go, it's time to go. It's not how some of you are operating as managers or leaders where you're working extra hours, where you're taking your work with you home, where you're taking calls on a Sunday, where you're going above and beyond and they're paying you the same thing and they're stressing you out and all the stuff. That might not be the life for you moving forward. So we're talking about this as we're wrapping up this year, because this is when a lot of people start thinking about their New Year's resolutions, getting new jobs, getting into a new industry, changing their work-life balance, all that stuff. Well, maybe you need to change how you're thinking about work in general. There's nothing wrong with going back to work at a retail space or with a small entrepreneur as an assistant, or something that does not have a huge cognitive load on you or emotional load, that you can say, hey, I can shift this energy over to my craft, my hobby, the business I want to build, the extra things I'd like to learn with AI, with the trades, whatever it is. It's a viable path to get over there. So that's what you need to know about this rise of career minimalism and the things that you can now do. It's an energy shift, y'all. It's an energy shift to get over to the other side. But I pray that all of you do that. If this is something that you want to have more conversation about, again, feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to drop a comment. Feel free to shoot me a DM. More than happy to have this conversation with anybody that's saying, hey, I don't think my job is giving me all the things quality of life wise that I would want. So I want to be able to transition over. Well, we can have a conversation of exactly what to go do to be able to transition. It's going to be an energy shift. It's going to be a shift in how you think about earning money, maybe taking a few steps back to work at a different company and then putting your time and energy, that extra bit, into the thing that's you're most passionate about, or that you can see as the pathway to get you to the life you want. But we got to make some changes. Remember, y'all, if nothing changes, nothing changes. That's right. If nothing changes, nothing changes. So we want to make some changes. Do something this week that scares you, that pushes you out of your comfort zone. And we'll be back here next Friday for another episode of BizBuzz Live. Until next time.